Hey everyone, Matt here. It's been a while since my last video, but I wanted to share a full recap of 2024 and talk a little bit about what I have planned for 2025. So let's start with my all sites results before rakeback. Here's the graph to go with it. Poker Stars only. Party Poker only. GG only. And finally, here's the summary sheet that includes rakeback and my overall profit for the year. So if we compare this to last year, it's slightly disappointing. Although I made almost the same amount of money as last year, I ran significantly worse at 1K. And honestly, if I had hit a bad beat jackpot on GG, we would be having a totally different conversation. One thing I actually don't have included here is my MTT results. As you can see here, I played most Sundays and I actually ended up a little bit, which is kind of nice. And if you've been following my blog on 2+2, you'll notice that I actually did qualify for the main again this year, although we only lasted about a few hours this time. I'm still unsure how much time I want to dedicate to MTTs moving forward. I think it's important to have a solid understanding of them due to their popularity, but the problem is they're just so time consuming that I really only want to play them on Sundays when I have some free time. So what went right and what went wrong in 2024 and how can I improve? Let's start with what went wrong. At the end of last year, I felt like I was stagnating a bit results wise. I started questioning my strategy quite a bit actually. And looking back, I think I made things seem worse than they actually were. But from October 2023 to January of this year, I didn't win that much. And that led me to kind of believe I need to make some changes. As a result, I decided to get some coaching from a few different people to start the year and get some new ideas and see what I could add or adjust in my game. I also figured since I'm playing in a smaller, softer pool, I need to develop more exploitative strategies. I tested a lot of different things. And honestly, I'd say the majority of this year was learning and testing. However, had I hit any bad beat jackpots or ran a little bit better at 1K, it could have been a better year than last year. So it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was looking back. And I think I've really came out of this year with a much clearer understanding of where my EV actually comes from, what I need to do to improve, and a plan to get to where I want to be going forward. So what are my plans for 2025? Well, a lot of that will depend on if we return to rest of world. Obviously, it would be nice to stay in Ontario, but the 1K plus games are drying up and playing in Canadian dollars isn't great. I mean, just look at the exchange rate right now. I do really want to get back into creating regular content. I don't think I'm going to stream 3 days a week like I used to before, but I want to do something. For me, the issue is I don't actually enjoy watching live plays or streams or study sessions as much as I used to. I'm more into lifestyle and social content, which there's not actually a lot of in the poker world. There's vlogs, but it's mostly just reviewing hands, and even that I don't really care for actually. There's some chance I'll stream again, but it would be more casual and it wouldn't really be strategy driven or trying to give advice or anything like that. It would just be to hang out and talk with other people in the community, because that is honestly what I miss the most about making content and streaming, is all the connections that I've made and the people that I've met. It's just been definitely a positive in my poker career, that's for sure. If anyone has any ideas, let me know in the comments below. I'm open to anything. I just want to create some sort of content regularly again in 2025. A lot of people ask me, why don't I play 2K even if there's a fish at the table? And the main problem for me is the volume. I don't know exactly how much 2K ran this year. If I had to guess, I'd probably maybe only be able to get about 25K hands. And for me, that kind of volume just isn't worth the variance. If I could get 100K plus hands in a gear at 2K, I'd likely consider it. But until then, it's not exactly a priority. But this actually leads nicely into the next thing I want to talk about. And I know I've said this for years, but in 2025, I really want to focus on quality over quantity. In the past, my mindset was all about rakeback grinding, aiming for consistent monthly profit. But now I feel like if I can maintain a 5BB plus win rate, I'd be happy with playing fewer than 50K hands a month, because the variance isn't actually that bad. Here's an example. Now, I want to preface this by saying I know not all tables are equal, and this doesn't take into account rakeback or rake or anything like that. It's just a theoretical example, but let's say I have 2BB per 100. You can see over 100K hands, my probability of loss is 26%. That doesn't seem that bad. However, there's about a 50% chance that I'll eventually see a 100,000 hand downswing, and almost a 40% chance that I'll have a 50 buy-in downswing. If we compare this to 5BB, your probability of loss after 100,000 hands is only about 6%. Your chance of losing or going on a 100K hand downswing is now only basically 11%, and 17% chance you go on a 30 buy-in downswing. A big difference in my opinion. I think in the long run, this is the best approach. That being focusing on higher win rate versus rewards and quality over quantity. I've always believed you shouldn't rely too heavily on rewards, because it can be taken away at any time. We've seen this with PokerStars, Party Poker, and if we go back to rest of the world, GG will have PVI again. Obviously, this assumes my win rate will improve if I focus more, so nobody really has a perfect sample. Still, I find it hard to believe it won't go up at least a little bit if I keep prioritizing strong game selection, avoid distractions like YouTube or Netflix or Discord while playing, but only time will tell, I guess. This brings me to my 2025 goals. Number 1, 600k hands. This is about 2/3 of my volume from last year. Number 2, 50% of my volume at 1k plus. This should increase my average stake by about 2.5 BB. I think right now it's maybe slightly higher than 5, but I want to get that to maybe around 7.5 or 8. Number 3, quality over quantity. Again, focusing on quality doesn't necessarily mean reducing playtime. It'll just be when I play, be a lot more focused and don't necessarily play 8+ tables to make sure I hit a certain level on the leaderboard. And lastly, potentially prioritizing those higher stakes tables as opposed to adding another 500 table if it comes up if I already have 4 or 5 tables already open. Number 4, make consistent content. I have a couple videos lined up for January. I'll start with those and see how things progress, but I'm honestly not sure what that plan will eventually be. Like I said, let me know in the comments below what you want to see and I'll see what I can do. And lastly, number 5, continue to play MTTs on most Sundays when I am free. I think it's super important to just stay sharp. It's a growing game format. Recreationals love it. It's probably going to be the future. So I don't want to stay too far behind if one day I have to eventually full on switch to MTTs. Before we wrap this up, I just want to quickly mention a few things. First, GTO Wizard. If you haven't tried it yet, I've got a link in the description that'll give you a 10% discount on your first purchase. GTO Wizard has been my main study tool. I really love it and they've been awesome to me. So definitely check them out if you're serious about improving your game. Second, my 2+2 blog. If you're not already following it, I'll link that below as well. Whether you're cheering for me or against me, you can see my monthly results there. Lastly, the classic YouTube sign off. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. And until next time, good luck at the tables.